What's up? Welcome to Developer Semicolon. In today's video, I'll teach you how to animate elements within the Wix Studio to achieve parallax effects, chug an ice latte, cold, and Jet the editor will show you his pinky finger. So make sure to subscribe, and with that introductory teaser, let's move onwards and upwards and forwards with this tutorial. Alright folks, so the first thing you want to do is navigate to wix.com/studio and you'll be presented with this page. And realistically, all you have to do is just click Start Creating. And that's exactly what we're going to do now. Now, what you have to do is just navigate to Sites, which is on the left-hand panel. And then what you do is you create a new site, then it takes you to another page, and we want to start from a blank canvas. So we don't want anything, we don't want to start with a template, we just want everything to be blank. Because what I'm showing you here is how to do everything from scratch to make you that little bit better of a developer. We started with a cool project and I'm getting hot and excited already. So Wix gives you the option to choose a blank canvas. It is a black canvas, but it still has some sections that we don't want. For example, it has the footer and it has the header of the website. And we don't want these, so I'm just going to select them and press backspace. And there you go. That easily we can just get rid of them. Now, what happens when we continue to work with this site? Before we go any further, let's talk about parallax effects and parallax scroll, and why do we call them parallax? Well, parallax is just the idea of showcasing and giving the end user a feeling that there is this depth of field and that there is this interactivity as they go onto the site. Now, this depth of field is achieved because of how we work with different layers on the website, and some layers that feel further away, some layers that feel in your face, and because they have different speeds at which they move, or they have different ways of being triggered, for example on mouse move, or for example on scroll, well, therefore that gives us the impression that these layers are moving on top of each other, and therefore giving us this kind of immersive experience as we land on the web pages that do have this parallax effect. So the first thing that we need to do is actually set up our web page. Now here we're working with a basic section, and first of all, I have this responsive behavior tab here, and I want to scale this image. Well, realistically, I don't want to scale it, but I want to fix it to the screen, meaning that we're fixing it to the width and the height of the screen that we're working with. Now, the next thing that we want to do is maybe make it a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to scale it down just so we can work with a little bit more space. And then on the right, you can see that we have this background option as part of the section. And in this background option, we have the ability to add an image or video. Now, we could make this be a static image, but I think if we make it a video, it's going to be much more immersive, and that's exactly what we want to achieve. So I'm going to add an image or video, and then as I scroll through the videos, I'll be able to see a rolling ball. This is the one I want, so I'm just going to select it and change the background. And what you'll see is that it automatically fits to the background. And as part of this, if I actually view it and preview it, you'll notice that there is this ball that is actually spinning around and moving in the background. So that's the kind of effect that we want to finally achieve. However, I don't like the color of it. It's too bright, it doesn't work. So we're going to change the color of the actual background design to black. So we're going to make it dark, and we're going to reduce its opacity to, let's say, something like 30%. And this is an effect I'm much more satisfied with, because now it actually looks like it's very dark and we can put content on top of it. So the content that's the layer above actually starts to pop. So the next thing that we need to do is we actually want to deal with the different layers. And how do we deal with the different layers? Well, first of all, we go to the left-hand panel to add elements. We go to quick add, and we want to add a container. Now, a container is going to contain some items that we're going to add. For example, media in this case. And I'm going to add a media, and I'm going to go to transparent videos this time. And Wix gives you this fantastic selection of these pre-made, really cool 3D models that have a transparent background that you can use on your websites to really elevate the design. And you can see all of these are animated. So realistically, you have so much flexibility to create something very, very cool. Now, I found this previously, this really cool element, which was like a rock. So there is a rock right here, or it's called the air element, and that's the one I'm going to add to my page. And as you can see, this element is already added, and we're going to make it bigger So let's just stretch this out. And I'm going to have it hovering right here in the bottom right corner of the screen. Now, of course, in this case, it has a background. So we're going to remove all of this background to make this image transparent. And then if we go ahead and we play this image, you'll see that we have this cool air object floating. We have the ball moving. But realistically, when I'm moving my mouse on the screen, nothing happens. So what can we do to make something become much more exciting and fun? Well, first of all, we can select this video and we can go into our animations and effects, and we can go to mouse effects and we can add a mouse effect. And in this case, as soon as I, for example, move my mouse, I want this image to tilt, right? So now when I go back to the video, as I'm moving it, oh, you probably can't see it, but it's actually tilting. It's like might not be the best effect because it's actually moving. So let's change this tilt to maybe be airy. So let's change that. Let's look at the visualization. As you can see, as I'm moving my mouse, it's moving the element object a little bit. So now I added this shape, but it's not giving me the depth of field that I want. And what can we do here? Well, this is where Wix Studio becomes extremely magical for developers, because this is not just a drag and drop tool. You have all the developer features that you might want in the world. And let me show you this really, really cool trick. As part of Wix Studio, you can actually go to the code feature and you can start coding. So you're turning on the coding functionality. Essentially, Wix Studio now becomes your IDE, so your integrated development environment. And what you can do here, you can start targeting elements and giving them custom CSS and giving them custom JavaScript. In this case, we're going to give it custom CSS. So we have this object right here that we're working with. Now, in this case, we want to target the CSS classes of this specific element. So I can go into CSS classes. And as you can see, I don't have a global.css file. If I just make this a little bit bigger, I can add the global.css file. And you'll notice this file has now been created, and I can assign a specific class to this specific element, which I will use to target this specific, in this case, transparent video. And I'm going to call it rock because that's what it is. And now, because I have this class, I can actually go ahead into the styles.css. I can target this class by typing .rock. And here I can start to assign the filters that I want to make this image blurry. Here I can add the filter, and this filter is going to be a filter of blur. And as soon as I added it, what you just saw there is it blurred the whole image. So we can start to manipulate our specific elements in so many ways. Here I'm just doing the CSS. You can also add custom functionality with JavaScript. And now essentially, once I'm done with this and I'm happy, I can just turn the coding off, and that remains blurred. And there we go. And we get that bigger depth of field. So now when we preview it, I'm dragging my mouse and you can see it's following my mouse. It's blurred. And we've got this cool background image that's also happening. And you can see this we're getting this 3D effect. Now let's go on to add the final two main components of this page, the main 3D model, and finally a bit of text, and then the navigation bar to make this actually look like a web page. And we're going to breeze through this very quickly because from this point onward, it's actually very, very simple. So again, I'm going to go into my panel. I'm going to select my section, my container. Inside of my container, I have a transparent video. And another thing I'm going to add is I'm going to add another transparent video. So I'm going to go to decorative. I'm going to select transparent videos, and we're going to find the specific object I want to put in the middle. Rotating crystal, that's the one I want. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to position it in the middle, make it a tiny bit smaller. And as you can see, we'll snap it to the center of the page, and we have this rotating crystal. Now, if I play this, you can see that we have this 3D page already and the parallax layers already coming on top. So you can see 3 layers now, but then there is a little bit of interactivity, but I want the interactivity from this middle object as well. So what do? Well, we just do the same thing that we did with the other one. We select it, we go on to the animations and effects, we select mouse effects, we add a mouse effect, and in this case, what can we do? Well, let's have it track 3D. So every time I move my object, it's going to swivel on its 3D axis and track my mouse movement. So now when I move it, there you go, look at that. And it's repositioning, and it's essentially swiveling on its axis to stretch it from the sides that my mouse ends up on. So now we're getting more of this interactive website, which is amazing. How do we make it seem more like a website? Well, let's add some text. And that's also very easy to do. Add elements, quick add a title, and let's type in something cool. Imagination with a full stop. You can't see this, but I'm going to change its color. Let's make it like a nice pop of green. Let's actually make it much bigger as well. So let's scale this image and let's scale the container that it sits in, like so. There we go. Let's stretch it to the side. And the cool thing here is that even though I can make it bigger, also we can actually start to play around with its rotation as well. And Wix Studio gives you this option to make and change the orientation to make the text vertical. Now it just changes the text to vertical, but realistically what I want is I also want to turn it by just flipping the image essentially right the way around. All right. Amazing. So we have our imagination. I can see that our page has scaled now. And then one thing we also want to add to this imagination text is that we also want to add a little bit of, I guess, mouse control. In the same way, we can go on to animations and effects, go on, for example, mouse effects, add a mouse effect, and maybe we can have it resize a little as we move it around. So now as our page, as we load it, you can see that as I move my mouse and the further I move it, it goes smaller. The closer I move it, it gets bigger. So we have our parallax setup, we have our layers, we have our piece of text. Now realistically, to make this design actually look like a website, we need to add the top navigation bar. So let's do that. Cold. Just click on the plus sign, quick add a container. Now we have this container, but we want to stretch it for the whole width of the page. Well, on the right hand side here, you have the size. And if you click the three dots, you can turn on the advanced settings. And as part of these advanced settings, now you have the width property that you can change. And I'm going to set that to 100. And as you can see, that automatically scales to the width of the whole page. So if I just try and drag this along like so, then we have it in the page, and we can just scale this height down to what we want the navigation to be, and we can remove the background and to make it invisible. Now I'm going to leave the background for now because we're going to add two things. We're going to add the little logo, and we're going to add a cute little icon that's going to serve as the hamburger that's going to supposedly open up the menu when we actually have this page working with a menu. Now in order to add a menu, I can add media, and I can upload media. And as part of this, I can drag some images from my Finder, drag the white icon into here. And here we have this white icon, and I'm going to add it to the page. Now this icon is huge, so what I'm just going to do is I'm going to select a fixed width for it, so it just scales down, and we can just take it down even smaller, so it actually looks like a hamburger icon. The other thing is I'm going to add a little bit of text, so I'm going to add some text, and I'm going to call it dev. With a full stop, that's going to be the name of our website, and I'm going to change its color. We're going to make it white-ish like this. And now the final step is just to reduce the opacity of the background. And if we look into actually previewing our site, well, you can see that it now actually looks like a website. We can scroll our image, we get this interactive parallax effect, and it's just fun and playful. And obviously you can add more information, and as you scroll, you can do much more fun things. In general, this video is supposed to portray how simple it is to you to do things that would normally take ages and would be extremely complicated. Before you leave, I have another really cool thing to tell you about. Not only that subscribing to this channel will proportionally increase your programming skills in comparison to your clout. Wait, is clout the 2024 word currently? Not only that, there is a hackathon that you can currently participate in. Now, Wix Studio teamed up with Merge under awesome Discord community who is giving out $20,000 in prizes. Now, if you want to participate, you need to build a website using Wix blocks or design a Wix Studio template. You'll get hands-on experience with professional tools, explore Wix's developer mode for maximum design flexibility, and best of all, you can monetize your templates for some extra cash. Well, can it be any better than that? Well, I don't think so. So you should definitely do that, and I encourage you to do so. Links are in the description if you want to read more about it. And for now, I'll see you in the Merge community, and also I'll see you in the next video.